So we'll start with the Kapitel Tilim. Basically, we thank Hashem for the miracles. We ask Hashem to continue with even bigger miracles. So Lam Natsayach, Mizmar David, Yancha Alinoi B'Yom Tzorah, Yisagev Choshem Elohei Yakriv, Yishlach Chezecha Mikodesh U'Mitzion Yisadeka, Yizker Komen Chesecha V'Los Chodash Asela, Yiten L'Chacha V'Ovecha V'Cholatoscha Yamalei. Me'an Rav Yeshua Secha Oveshem Eloheinu Nidgel, Yamalei Adonai Kol Mashal Yisecha, Ato Yadaita Yeshia Ne'Mashiach, Ya'aneyu Mishmei Kodshe, V'Gvurei Seisha Yemina, Eila Marechem, Ve'eila Vasusim, V'Anachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Nazkir, Heima Korov V'Napolu, V'Anachnu Kamnu V'Nesedad, Adonai Yeshia, Amelech Ya'aneinu V'Yem Kaleinu. Someone sent me a video yesterday of a friend, their friend who lives in a place called Or Yehuda, two big buildings, and then a missile falls right in between the space between the two buildings. A little bit here, a little bit more there, God forbid. You see what happens with one ballistic missile the first day when it hit a building. Remember this story, unfortunately, nine people. Thank God since then, nothing like that happened again, but there's a miracle every time it falls. Like someone it falls in an open space. How much open space is there in Israel? The place is so populated, so small.
Thank you.
Besides the miracle that sometimes it actually falls and just doesn't explode.
By the way, your video tonight, the Zoom call, if we know people from the school that might be interested, can we share it with them, or is it just for the school?
They could share it with them, yeah. Okay. So we are on page we did page 33, 35, 34, 35. Yeah, we're up to base. You're right, we did the review, we're up to Ois Base, which is page 37. Morning. I just want to add, again, this is perhaps a way of explaining. Remember, we learned yesterday that it says that that Ish Mazriya Tchila, which means that the arousal comes from Hashem first, that is the Keva, then the birth is going to be female. And what does it mean? That just like it says in Gemara, that a woman is Lashon Daitan Kalis. I was just thinking to myself, what's the explanation for that? What does it mean, Daitan Kalis? Kalis means that there could be a change, like I told you yesterday. They say in America, it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind. Obviously, it's an accepted thing. I think it could be with the fact that the Eibishter created men and women with different shlichus. The shlichus of a woman primarily is to build a home, to raise children, and for this shlichus, she needs to be sensitive, caring, have feeling. She needs to be soft. And a man's shlichus is outside of the house, where you need to be more aggressive and assertive. You need those kind of character traits. So the truth is, the softness is a mila, is a virtue. That's a quality, and because of that, she could be more understanding, and she feels more whatever it is that needs to be felt with the other person, which would be the child or the husband or whatever needs to be done in the family. But on the other hand, because you're super sensitive, then it means that you could be into something, and then something else comes up, and because you're again in general, being flexible is actually a mila. There's a mission in Pirkei Avos which says, is it in Pirkei Avos? A person should always, no, it's in Gemara. A person should always be flexible like a reed, rather than being, what was the other expression? Like not like a tree, which is hard and not bendable. A person should be flexible. But the flexibility it comes from the fact that I understand and I feel for the other thing or the other person. So therefore, as a result of that sort of softness and sensitivity and feeling, it's easy, it's more likely that when something else comes up and you feel strong about that, that could pull you in that direction. But in terms of the avodah, that's the mashal. But in terms of the nimshal, it means that because it comes from Hashem, I didn't really work on preparing myself, so therefore it's not internalized, doesn't really penetrate deeply to say that love for Hashem became one with me, and as a result of that, after a while, it could fade away. And here in this second part, he's going to explain the question that was brought up yesterday. So what happens if I do merit, and I actually was very thankful to Hashem that I got some sort of an inspiration from above. I didn't do anything for it. So it's a very painful thought to think, okay, it's great, but it's soon going to disappear and it's gone. Now the Rebbe is going to explain this pain. No, there's a way to make that permanent also. Now we go back to the pasuk. Adam ki yakriv mikem. So initially the question was the order of the words. It should have said Adam mikem, means one of you, ki yakriv, when you bring a carbon. Instead it says Adam, a person, ki yakriv will bring a carbon, mikem, from you. So the words from you belong after the word Adam, not later. The word Adam here is referring to not only the human being down here, but it's also referring to the Muskamara Adam. It's talking about the supernal Adam, the Adam that we spoke about before, that level of godliness that is on the throne that we spoke about before. And why is that called Adam? Why is that the term that's used to describe that level? There's a quote in the Zohar. In fact, this is one of the things which we actually have in the Siddur, because we say it, men say it Friday afternoon before Mincha, and it's probably here in the terms. I hope I put it down there. Right, it's the first one in the terms in Oz Beis. Lab mikol ilain midas yuklal. Hashem cannot be described by any of the midos. All the character traits that we talk about, which is kindness, compassion, we can't describe Hashem that way because that's finite. So he's really above it. So what is he? He's infinite. There's no description. So where do the descriptions come from? And the answer is Shemislabish. Hashem descends, lowers himself through Tzimtzum, and Mislabish Besesfiris. And he encloses himself, invests himself. In different words, he manifests his infinite light in 10 different ways, which are the 10 spheres. And these 10 different ways break down into more details, which are the Ramach Evarim, the 248 organs. In the Zohar, he says the 248 organs of the king, which means 248 different levels. And the reason why Hashem does that is Kedei Lahoyer Aydei Zeh L'Neshamas Yisrael. In order for Hashem's light to be able to reach us, and all the worlds, the light has to be finite because we are finite, and Hashem wants that light to be absorbed by us. So therefore, he took his infinite light and he brought it down through Tzimtzum and made it finite. Bazai, then, in other words, in this lower level, as Hashem sort of descends and manifests himself in the 10 different spheres, Nikra Kemar Adam, then we can use the words that I saw. He says, I saw godliness, but I saw it Kemar Adam, an image of a person, meaning to say he saw that level of godliness that already has the 10 spheres and the different organs, and that's the source for Adam down here. So when it says in Chumash that God created man in his image, how could that be? Hashem has no image. It means the image of the Adam Ha'elyon. That also has 10 aspects. The 10 aspects are broken down into 248 different details, and that's the source of the 248 organs in the body and the 10 faculties of the soul. And if you remember, but we once said that one of the places where we can see, yes, how number 10 breaks down to 248. Yeah.
Okay.
What? Remember what you wanted to say?
Yeah.
One of the examples is the Aseret Adibris. Aseret Adibris is 10 commandments. So Rashi says in Chumash that if you count the letters of Aseret Adibris, you'll find 620 letters. Rashi says this. Why? Because even though it's 10 commandments, but it includes the entire Torah, which is 613 mitzvahs, and 7 mitzvahs, the Rabbanan. And then Rashi adds that there's a sefer of someone who actually spells out and shows which mitzvahs branch out from which of the 10. So you have 10, it's like having 10 trees, and each tree has many branches, and altogether there's 613 branches or 620 branches. But here's where we see an example that the number 10 is broken down into more details, it becomes 613. Here's only going to 248, but it's really the other 365 as well. Yes, or yes.
I know there's that graph of like how it's broken up based on the part of the body. Is it the same concept or like?
Yeah.
Whereas
That's what it is. That the right hand is connected to Chesed, and the left hand is connected to Gevura. That means that these are the parts of the body that they all evolve from that level of Adam. But over there, it's spheres, and down here, it's the different parts of the body.
does it mean our body parts like connect with that specific?
Yeah. Yeah. There's another question here. I'm not going to raise the question so you won't have the problem understanding, looking for the answer. But I think we'll go into it after Pesach when we talk about the spheres and how they're divided. We'll go into that. Let's leave it for then. So now when it says Adam ki Yakriv, again, who are we talking about? It's alluding to the Adam ha'elyon. And what does ki Yakriv mean? V'zeh meaning ki Yakriv mikem. And then again, this is a reference. Look at this in this Mamar. V'zeh ki Yakriv mikem mamish. Adam ki Yakriv means if Hashem, who's the Adam ha'elyon, wants to bring one of you closer to him. If you read it that way, then the word mikem belongs right after the word Adam. Again, the Adam ha'elyon, ki Yakriv, wants to bring closer, mikem, one of you. He wants to bring inspiration to one of you. He wants to bring light to one of you. And that's why the word mikem is written first. Adam mikem ki Yakriv, and it doesn't say where I would have thought it should say, Adam mikem ki Yakriv, because in Cain, if it was written that way, then the only way you can interpret it is literally. It means if a person, one of you, wants to bring a korban, that the Gashmi is the person down here, Yakriv wants to bring a korban. But when he says, if he will bring closer one of you, this comes to lose to the inyan which we just explained, that the Adam ha'elyon wants to bring you closer to him. Now we can understand the other question. Remember, here's the question: how come it says Adam ki Yakriv? Yakriv is singular. Now we understand because Yaakov is referring to Hashem, Adam ha'elyon. And the Adam ha'elyon is singular. But after that it says, Mina behema, tagiru es korbanchem, from you should bring the behema, the nefesh of Bahamas, as your korban. Now he's talking to us, so it's plural. And that's why it says takribu, plural, v'idakah b'nei Yisrael. And here is the answer to that question. This is Hashem's Eitzah Tova, good advice, Mimenu Yisbarach, from Hashem. What should we do if I do get an inspiration from above, and I do I feel that Hashem is shining his light on me. What can I do to make sure that I'll be able to retain it and it'll stay with me? No one's fade away. So the answer is as soon as a person experiences this Eis Rasan, this auspicious time, his Eirus, when there's an Eirus awakening, that wakes up and brings light to the person, take it from Miyad. What you should start doing right away is Taschilu Atam Gam La'ir Isusa Tata. You should do the Isusa Tata Gamken. The height of this means the Kfaya Lahapcho Esmidis Hanev Bahamas. In other words, what he's saying is like this: the person gets an inspiration and they feel they're on a high spiritually. So I can just say to myself, I'm going to float along with this inspiration. And then it'll be there for a while. Like I said before, it could even be for a few weeks, and then it'll fade away. But what if a person says, I have this inspiration, so let me use this now to start working on my Nefesh Bahamas. In other words, what is the novelty here is, before we thought I have to work on things first, so then the light that I bring down is going to be a result of my hard work and it'll be internalized. But now he's telling us, even after the light is already shining from above, if I work with my Nefesh Bahamas, I could open myself up and allow that light to be internalized and therefore be permanent. I'll tell you what it could mean in our language. In the basement down here. Very often, when there were Farbrengens or certain occasions, not very often, you could say more often than often, that I would conclude everybody should make a hachlata. And that's what it's all about. In other words, an inspiration is like fire. Fire is something which has no substance, and it's always sort of pulling away. So if I have a wick, it'll hold it down. The wick doesn't have to be never necessarily a wick. It could be a piece of wood, it could be a could be a log, it could be something, but something has to hold it down, otherwise it goes away. So if I have an inspiration and I make a hachlata, which means I take upon myself to do something additional because of this inspiration, this is sort of a way that I'm connecting that inspiration with my avodah. And as a result of that, it will be retained. It'll be something which will not totally fade away. Again, you brought up the question yesterday. Even when a person gets an inspiration through hard work, it fades away. Nothing stays there all the time the same. But we're talking about the fact that when a person gets an inspiration, at least it should pick me up a little bit, and that upgrade should last. So this is an example. I make a hachlata to do something which I didn't do before. And now that hachlata is something which I keep doing, and that hachlata contains in it, to a certain degree, that light that Hashem shined to me. That's like becomes like a body that contains the soul. That's the wick that contains the fire, and that's how the fire stays with me. People are on a higher level of Avodah, so the Alter Rebbe says they're going to work on the Nefesh Bahamas, transform the Nefesh Bahamas, which is the same idea, but in a more, this is talking about the Nefesh Bahamas, and I'm talking about something practical. Nefesh Bahamas, if I transform the Nefesh Bahamas, if I even change something, I make a dent in my Nefesh Bahamas as a result of this awakening, then my awakening will have more long-lasting effect. You go on a trip somewhere and you really have a great time and you bring back home something as a souvenir. What is supposed to be the accomplishment of the souvenir? Like when you look at it or you look at pictures, it brings back a little bit of the feeling that you had when you were there. So I guess if I make a hachlata as a result of whatever it is, that high that I felt that day during davening or during a farbrengen or during a wedding, whatever it was, if I make a hachlata based on that, and that hachlata sort of holds on to this inspiration, and then it stays with me longer.
Let's say somebody gets like inspired. Like, is there such a thing as taking on too many hachlatas?
Too many? Yes, sure there is.
So then, like, how do you balance?
So every person is different. So there's no way of giving a general rule for everybody. But there's no question that one of the tactics of the Yitzhar is make a hachlata, make another hachlata, make another hachlata, and really it's a way of getting me to stumble. I think I told you this was there was a time where every single Farbrengen, the Rebbe said everybody should make hachlata to take on something new. Every Farbrengen. I forgot what was going on then. Every Farbrengen. So someone told me he was walking out of the Farbrengen, and he has two people behind him talking. And one says to the other guy, "This time I'm going to make a hachlata, and for sure I'm going to keep it." What's the hachlata? Then I'm not making any more hachlatas. Yeah, we have to have the balance. And to make the hachlata should be something which is not overwhelming and not too much, and not to worry, oh, it's a little thing, big deal. Hachlatas, doesn't matter whether it's big or small. The greatness of hachlata is that it's something new. Even if it's a small little move, I'm going to learn one pasuk every day. One pasuk, what's a pasuk? But if it's something new, that's an addition in my avodah, and that can accomplish what's supposed to be accomplished. And usually when I make a hachlata, I mean, not I, any person makes a hachlata, and it's not overwhelming, and therefore I keep to it, there's a certain sense of satisfaction and a certain sense where you feel good about it, that itself motivates you to make another hachlata, which would also be in proportion, not out of proportion. But again, what's proportion, what's out of proportion, everybody's different. When a 2-year-old takes a giant step, it's not very gianty. When an adult takes a giant step, it's a few feet. It's a very, very different. So for everybody, taking a leap means something different. But again, hachlata mainly is the fact that it's something new that he didn't do before. And in general, when we take on things that are new, it also means growth. It means that I'm moving forward. I'm not just standing in one place. But in this case, we're talking about something that I can do, that the inspiration that I get should be long lasting. So here he's saying, this is the good advice. Many Hashem in the Chumash is giving us advice. And he's saying like this, Adam ki Yakriv mikem, if the Adam Elyon wants to bring you closer, and as a result of that, he's shining his light, and you become inspired and excited, what should you do? Takriv was korbancha, go ahead and bring your korban, which means take of miyat taschilu atem, start, the oirer is rusul tata, to arouse your awakening from below, gamkein, dainu the kfaya, or the hapchas midas nefesh bahamis, to subdue the nefesh bahamis, to transform the midas nefesh bahamis, and that's what it means. Takriv is korban chem, you bring your korban. And what is it? Your korban is from the animal, meaning the animal soul. And again, I'll just go ahead of myself a little bit so you won't be hanging. He's explaining that when Hashem shines his light, which part of me responds to that? My nefesh elokis or my nefesh bahamis? There's a godly light shining. The truth is, it's nefesh elokis. The nefesh elokis has an antenna for godliness. So when the light shines, the nefesh elokis gets excited. The nefesh bahamis doesn't get excited. If you walk over to a person who has no connection to Yiddishkeit, and you tell him who won the World Series, you might get excited. If you tell him what is the difference between Atzilus and Bria, you might as well have not said anything. It means nothing to him. It's irrelevant. Godly light to Nefesh Bahamis is irrelevant. So if we see that a person gets excited from a godly light, that means my Nefesh Elokis got excited. So for example, like what I told you this morning, so anybody who was in the area where the missiles fell, and they saw with their eyes, what a miracle. This fell behind my house. This fell after my house. This fell in open space. This never got to reach us all together. They get excited. So there's two excitements. One excitement is my life was just saved. And even an atheist would feel that way. The second level of excitement is that they see Hashem in it. And they're excited about Hashem and about Hashem's kindness, Hashem performing a miracle. So that's my Nefesh Elokis. Nefesh Bahamis doesn't respond to godly light. So therefore, when Hashem does what he does, he's shaking up my Nefesh Elokis. Then I need to go with my Nefesh Elokis and try to inspire my Nefesh Bahamis. There's a pasuk. Let's look up this pasuk inside. I probably did put the pasuk down. Let's see. Page. I didn't point out other things to you. I want to just for a moment turn to page 31 in the booklet. But this is the source where it says, speak to Bnei Yisrael, Isha kisazriya v'yolda zachar. The woman will give birth to zachar, to a male. The Gemara bases on this pasuk that with the mother, is first, then the baby that's born is a zachar, and the father is first, the baby is born as a female. The next page are the words from the Zohar, but it's in the Siddur, underlined, La mikol ilay midas klal. Hashem is above all the midas. So the fact that there are 10 spheres, that's Hashem lowering himself in a way of tzimtzum. I'm looking for the pasuk that we're talking about now. So that's in Shir Hashirim, right in the beginning. That's page 35 in the booklet. Look at pasuk 3. No, pasuk 4. The whole pasuk will be explained by the Mamar. It says Moshcheni, which means draw me to you. Acharecha narutza, we will run after you. Eviyani hamelech hadarav, the king brought me to his chambers. Nagila v'nismach habach, we will rejoice and be glad in you or with you. Naskila dodecha miyayim yishar me'evucha, we will recall your love more fragrant than wine. They have loved you sincerely. So he's going to explain this pasuk now. Zeh mashakasav, this is what it means, mashcheni, which means draw me to you. Achrecha narutza. You notice you have the same question here. First it says mashcheni, pull me. That's singular. Then it says we will run after you. Where did the other guy come from? It says mashcheni. Where did he come out of the woodworks? Pirush. When you pull me, my godly soul, when Hashem will shine his light and inspire my Nefesh Elokis, we will both run after you, my Nefesh Elokis and my Nefesh Amis. Why? Because after I'm inspired, I'm now going to work on my Nefesh Amis. It should also be inspired and transformed or subdued. If he's not going to make that effort to Mivar Nefesh Bahamis, or like I said before, if I'm not going to make the effort to make a certain achlata, Azai, then Af 42, 3, Af Shanim Shechasusa Leila, even though there is a source of Leila, La'ira Nefesh Elokis, and it aroused the Nefesh Elokis, La'yir Zekim Asmada, it won't really have a permanent presence because there's really nothing to hold on to. But if the Adam Elyon brings you closer to him, she is us take it from miyad, if you will right away go ahead and start doing the same with your Nefesh Amis, as Ayiyah Dobra Miskayim, that's when it will last. So we'll continue. What you're seeing after that is all again references. So we're going to skip that part and go to page 45. Carbon Yakriv. So the Torah says this carbon that you're going to bring is minat behema. You're going to bring the carbon, meaning you're going to bring closer your nefesh habahamis. Mash'enkein adam ki Yakriv. But the first thing where it says Hashem will arouse, who in a carbon whom he came, that's you. Commissioner Aros Barla Ela, we explained before. So this is the principle here that remember from Basel Lagani would also remember. The Nefesh Habahamis is not sensitive to godliness. Gets excited about things that a Nefesh Habahamis could relate to food, to clothing, to money, to enjoyment, pleasure, sports, all sorts of things like that. But the fact that godliness is revealed doesn't move the Nefesh Habahamis. So therefore, when it says before Adam Ki Yakriv, who's being moved? My Nefesh Elokis, and that's why it says Mikem, from you, meaning your Nefesh Elokis. So that's what he's saying now, that this is Eres only touches the Nefesh Elokis. Shul Chelik Elokami Mal. Being my the Nefesh Elokis is part of Hashem, so it's sensitive to Hashem. The Nikras Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam. In fact, the Nefesh Elokis is referred to as a Hashem's candle. The words are, the candle of Hashem is the neshama of man. Shubchinis Adam, Nasa Adam, it's Hamenikid Masenu. So we're called Adam, and Hashem is called Adam, because we're created in his image, which means the godly soul is so much connected to Hashem, Chelik of the Kami Mal. So therefore, the godly soul is super sensitive to godliness. V'yeshba abativis, and then the godly soul already has that a natural love to Hashem. Mitzad sharsha mekar chutzvah, because the source of the godly soul comes from Adam, not like the animal soul that comes from the Chayes HaKodesh, but from the Adam Elyon. So the godly soul is super sensitive to godliness. The godly soul already has a love for Hashem, but it's hidden. All I need to do is lahitziyah, to bring it out from its hidden state, that I should feel that love consciously. So therefore, when Hashem shines his light, and it's a godly light, this love will come out from the hidden state to the revealed state. Like a little candle in the front, in the presence of a torch. This is a mashal which is brought down often in Chassidus, that if you take a candle with a small fire, small flame, and you put it near a torch which has a big flame, we'll see that little flame will be drawn into the bigger flame. So basically, Hashem is fire. It says Hashem Hashem is represented by fire. And when Hashem came to Moshe Rabbeinu in the bush, it was fire. We also know that the neshama is a flame, is fire, but the neshama is a small flame, and Hashem is like that torch. So if Hashem comes closer to me, then my neshama starts flaring up, and that's what happens. But the Nefesh Habahamis doesn't, because it's not fire. The Nefesh Habahamis is a behemoth, but the Nefesh Elokis is fire, so it gets drawn to the big fire.
What does it mean, like Hashem comes closer?
It means he allows me to feel his presence more than the norm.
When does that?
So generally speaking, it happens in designated dates, which is Shabbos, Yom Tov, Aseret Tshuva. But in addition to that, it can happen anytime, for whatever reason, of something that's going on from above. And a person could, for some reason or other, wake up one morning and just feel inspired, or just be davening, and somehow middle of davening, like any other day, today, I just feel inspired. And that means that today, Hashem is allowing you to feel his presence, and that's where inspiration comes from. Also, we don't even begin to understand and to be able to estimate the power of the things that we do. Like very often it's possible that I did a certain mitzvah today, I helped a person today, or I did a different mitzvah, or I had a certain test and I overcame that test. And as a result of what I did, Hashem shines his light to me. I don't see the connection, but that's the connection. And we don't know, what it is that we do that can make such an impact. So therefore, it's something which is beyond our understanding. We don't understand. We know the general idea that sometimes we do certain mitzvah which we don't even realize how effective it was, how powerful it was, and what kind of impact it had on Shemayim. And because of that, Hashem allows me to feel his presence, and that's what causes my inspiration.
Question.
Yeah.
So when we have like this hashgacha practice, like really unusual coincidences, but hashgacha practice, and it's so obvious, would you call that an inspiration from above?
Of course. Yeah. Because Hashem could have always made the same thing happen in a more concealed way. Hashgacha prati is like you say, is where it's like you just see it openly.
But then isn't it always something as a result? Like, isn't it always as a result of what we do?
It could be, but it also said in the mind, it could be a result of an eitz ratzon. It's a result of something which is going on up there, not a result. Everything I do definitely brings a result, but I don't always feel the result. Like there's a mashal given in a Maimon from the Rabbi Marash, and he uses the mashal. It's like somebody who's accumulating money and he keeps it in a box. I mean, in today's day, you can use the mashal. Imagine you do your work, and your boss deposits your money straight into your bank account, right? You don't see the money. It's growing in your bank account, but you don't even see the money. Yes, but you know that it's there, so you could benefit from it and use it. But I'm saying, Baruchni is every time I do anything positive, I am depositing godly light in my bank account. But we don't see it. When Mashiach comes, everything will be more open. But even now, sometimes we can see more openly, but we don't know the connection. Is this because of what I did Tuesday? Is it because of what I did last week? Is this because of what I did last month? We don't see the connection, but we definitely believe that it's coming from Hashem, number one. Is it coming from Hashem as a result of something I did, or is it coming from Hashem just as a result of his ultimate kindness? That we don't know. It's always his kindness, but meaning not a result of my avodah. So this is a very important point to remember also. Whenever we talk about a suicidal Eila that is going to arouse us, it's basically, who does it reach? The Nefesh Elokis, not the Nefesh Habahamis. And now the Nefesh Habahamis is the one that has to take that inspiration and try to bring it over to the Nefesh Habahamis. Nefesh Elokis has to bring it over to the Nefesh Habahamis. And why is that? So that's what it says in the next paragraph, because Nefesh Habahamis has become so much more coarse, and it doesn't have the sensitivity to spirituality. Nefesh Habahamis shekvar yorda oklula mitevera. Nefesh Habahamis is something which descended much lower. Everything comes from Hashem, but that descended so much lower, and now it's a mixture of tev and ra, kedusha and klipa. In fact, most of it is ra, because in this world there's more klipa than there is kedusha. The Shaykh Leimer came, we can't say that Nefesh Habahamis gets excited because there's a godly light shining. The godly light and Nefesh Habahamis are like two strangers. It doesn't respond to it, doesn't react to it. Even if there is a source of Leila, the Shaykh is a Nefesh Habahamis v'haguf. The guf and Nefesh Habahamis don't get excited and are not moved by it. Even though the spirit of man, which is the godly soul, is a spirit which is a godly spirit, and that's drawn upwards, so it relates to things that are up there on a higher level. But Ruach HaBehema Yeredes Lamata, he's quoting a pasuk, and I think it's in Mishlei. Oh, they have their source here probably. In Koheles, where it says the spirit of man goes up Literally, it means that when a person passes away, the neshama goes up and the body goes down. But the Hasidic interpretation that is deeper. Even when a person's alive, the godly souls is in a mode of going upward, trying to get closer and closer to Hashem, and the animal soul is the mode of going downward, wants to be more physical, material, and pleasures from down here, doesn't relate to things that are up there, and therefore this earth doesn't touch him. Okay, so at this point we answered 3 questions. We answered already the question, why does it say Adam ki Yakriv mikem and not Adam mikem ki Yakriv? And you also answered the question, why does it start off with singular and finish with plural? So tomorrow we'll start again from Avo, from this paragraph on page 45. Okay, to be continued. Yeah.
Could you clarify the order of the words for the of you part?
Adam mikem, Adam ki Yakriv,
Right.
the Adam Elyon wants to bring closer. You have the booklet in front of you, so you can see the pasuk.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for that.
Not again, I don't know.
So was there another time?
Your class, this Chavus is like, if it works, Mashiach will come. There's so many obstacles, otherwise it must be.
So is there another time or no?
Tomorrow I can make time.
Okay, right.
Maybe after my class, I go to 11:15 and
Right
I'll
after.
let you. No, 9:15. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so look at the words, Adam, ki Yakriv mikem. You looking at it? Where is it? It's probably the first page, no?
Oh, we're just looking at like the,
No, not there. Look at page, no, it's 15, page 15. Pasuk Beis.
okay,
Adam ki Yakriv mikem. So Adam is alluding to the Adam Elyon. Ki Yakriv, he'll want to bring closer. Mikem, one of you,
this is the awakening from above.
right,
The of you is us.
us. And then actually kiss specifically.
And then why does it not switch it? Why is it even bringing it?
If it would say Adam mikem ki Yakriv, it would mean one of you, meaning one of you human beings if you want to bring a carbon. There's no message there about the Nefesh kiss and the whole thing with the Swiss and Layla. The fact that it changes the order and writes Adam ki Yakriv mikem allows us to see that there's a deeper meaning here. And he's talking about the Adam Ha'elyon, not just the Adam Ha'tat. That the Adam Ha'elyon wants to bring me closer to him.
She's saying you do need both.
You need both, of course. The Torah is telling us 2 messages. One is about bringing a carbon physically. We don't take away the literal meaning of the word.
The literal meaning means us bringing the carbon and making the haflata and stuff.
No, literal meaning is simply bringing an animal to the base of Mikdash and sacrificing, right?
Okay,
And the deeper meaning is that it's referring to the Adam Elyon.
okay.
What about you? We're gonna make something good.
What?
Or about nothing, that's how I'm trying to question your drama. You're gonna, or about nothing.
Yeah.
Just like, oh no, let's just leave that.
And then did we also answer the question why it's plural, Yakriv?
Yeah, because when it's talking about Adam, Yakriv, it means it's Hashem, so that has to be singular.
And Takriv
It's us. We're doing our Nefesh B'Am, it's for us, it's plural.
So that's talking about the part that we are responding to the awakening.
Exactly, right.
Thank you.
Because Rabbi Hanoka should be here. No, Osnabrück.
This makes more sense. And then if it was, if
Adam, yeah, I can't do an English.
Okay, no, do it in Hebrew.
Okay.
Adam Kia.
Adam Yakriv, Mikan, like man that brings from you. That's not.
You're just doing it in English.
I'm translating. I can't do it like this.
Okay,
one.
fine.
Yeah. So the one that brings from you. So you get it, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine, but I don't understand why was it even a question for it to be the other way?
Because it doesn't make sense why it's saying if a man brings the